Hello, students and viewers. Today I'm going to talk about biofertilizer. So, this is the last point of your chapter, chapter number 4, that is from plant biotechnology, paper number 5. So, for your studies, you have these different biofertilizer you have to learn: algal biofertilizer, fungal, phosphate solubilizing biofertilizer, and organic fertilizers. So total 4 are there for your studies. So now what are biofertilizers? So see here, it's large population of specific or group of beneficial microorganisms, right? So here it may be specific microorganism or it may be a group of microorganism, and which is going to enhance the productivity of soil. So this is called as what? Biofertilizer. So they are enhancing how? Either by fixing atmospheric nitrogen, this is the first, or by solubilizing soil phosphorus, or by stimulating plant growth through synthesis of growth promoting substances. So main intention of biofertilizer is to enhance the productivity of soil, either by fixing atmospheric nitrogen or by solubilizing soil phosphorus, by stimulating plant growth through synthesis of growth promoting substances. So biofertilizer based on renewable energy source are cost effective, eco friendly, and can help to economize on the high investment needed for chemical fertilizer. So this is biofertilizer, right? How they are working. Now see types of biofertilizer. Now the types of biofertilizer is based on which element, which nutrient they are supplying. For example, if we want to have the nitrogen supply to our crops, then we have to add rhizobium, and it is through legume crops, right? Leguminous crops, any. Take example of your groundnut or pea plant, right? So those are leguminous plants. Legume plants are nothing but what? The plants which has the legume type of fruit, or the plants which are belonging to leguminosae family, right? So all these are leguminous crops. And here see, some this rhizobium, they are having symbiotic association, earlier we have discussed, and they are resides in a structure called as nodule, right? Whereas the azotobacter or azospirillum, they are associated to the non-leguminous crops. So here no nodule like structure will be developed, directly they will resides, or they are symbiotically associated with the non-leguminous crops, right? So rhizobium and azotobacter, they will supply what? They will supply nitrogen to the plant, and in return they will have the food and shelter from the host plant, right? Because they are symbiotically associated with the plants. Now if you want to have the phosphorus, right, then we have to apply this phosphotica for all crops to be applied with rhizobium, azotobacter, azospirillum, and acetobacter, right? So here Phosphotica along with the rhizobium, azotobacter, azospirillum, acetobacter, they will provide us phosphorus, because again as like the nitrogen, phosphorus is again the element which can't be directly absorbed by the plants. Phosphorus has to be converted into a absorb that light form, for example, or orthophosphorus ion, right? And then only plants can able to uptake that orthophosphorus ion from the rhizosphere. Now for enriched compost. For enriched compost, then we can add again phosphatica and azotobacter culture. Now, now here see, I have given some images to you. So here you can see these are the uh, root part with the small nodule you can able to observe over here, right? So rhizobium is the bacterium which are symbiotically associated with the root nodules of leguminous plants. So this is rhizobium which provides nitrogen to the host plant. Now azotobacter, here you can see these are the colonies of these azotobacter, right? Next, PSB. So PSB is nothing but phosphate solubilizing biofertilizer, right? So this phosphate solubilizing biofertilizer supplies what? Supplies phosphorus to the plants. And again, here you can see this is the how they are this PSB is cultured in a petri plate. Now, this is the algal biofertilizer. Example is BGA, blue green algae. That is again we called it as cyanobacteria. Okay, BGA is also called as what? Cyanobacteria. And here you can see green colored colonies of the cyanobacteria. And under the microscope, you will observe such uh, multicellular beaded or multicellular structure with having the heterocyst in them. Such structure we can able to observe under microscope. Then next here you can see azoosperillum. Again, this is the structure of it, colonies of it, and how they are cultured further with the help of petri plates. And then last it is this is the fungal biofertilizer VAM. This is the example of fungal biofertilizer. V stands for vesicular, A stands for arbescular, and M stands for mycorrhiza. So this is also called as what? VAM, right? Vesicular, arbescular, mycorrhiza. So these are the fungal biofertilizer, that is VAM. They are used to add nutrients to the plant. So here again, see, I have classified it with the examples. So nitrogen fixing biofertilizer, some are free living, some are symbiotic, and some are associative, right? So Azotobacter, Anabina, and Nostoc, they are free living microorganism. They are used to fix the atmospheric nitrogen, whereas the rhizobium and azole, they are symbiotically associated with the rhizobium associated with the legume plant, and azole they are associated with the fern azolla. Then associative, that is azoosperillum, it is again fix the atmospheric nitrogen and it is associated with the plants. Then phosphate solubilizing, and here you can see phosphate mobilizing, right? So phosphate solubilizing biofertilizer which solubilize insoluble phosphorus, right? So here the examples are Bacillus subtilis, Pseudomonas striata, sorry. Then from the fungi, Penicillium is the species, and Aspergillus avamori, that is the Aspergillus species, which fix or which converts the insoluble phosphorus into soluble phosphorus. Then phosphate mobilizing. Mobilize means to move, right? So here phosphorus is transferred from one part to another one, right? So, or one place to another place. So, this is the AM, that is arbuscular mycorrhiza. Example is Glomus species that helps for mobilizing the phosphorus. Then again ectomycorrhiza, that is Amanita species, and ericoid mycorrhiza, that is nothing but it's belonging to the plants order Ericales or the family Ericaceae, the plants which are belonging to family Ericaceae. So here the example is this Pezizillae ericae, right? So this is the example which is going to mobilize this phosphorus. Then biofertilizer for micronutrients. So here silicates and zinc solubilizers. Example is Bacillus species that is used to add micronutrients to the soil. Then last one is plant growth promoting rhizobacteria, that is example is Pseudomonas, and its particular species they are used to add or act as plant growth promoting rhizobacteria. So hence onwards, I'm going to explain you one by one the four types in detail, four types of biofertilizers. So let's begin with the algal biofertilizer. So algal biofertilizer, the best example is your BGA. It is also called as what? Cyanobacteria. So earlier I have taught you about this. So without wasting time, I'm going to highlight main points of these BGA. So here you can see they have heterocyst. Heterocyst is nothing but what is the bigger cell uh, rest as compared to the rest of the other cells, right? So this is the heterocyst cell in which the fixation of atmospheric nitrogen takes place, right? So how it is takes place? It's earlier I have explained this. So genera in Indian soil are Anabina and Nostoc. So this is the example of this BGA which helps to fix the atmospheric nitrogen. So, so these microorganisms suitable under flooded rice. So these two, right? So these two, they are mainly supplied to whom? They are mainly supplied to flooded rice, right? It is mainly supplied to flooded rice, and this rice increase in yield up to 6 to 35 percentage. So see how much percentage the yield is going to increase if we are adding these BGA to the particular flooded rice. So BGA applied at 10 kg per hectare means you must have 10 kgs of this BGA with you to add in a per hectare of your field. Then about 25 to 30 kg nitrogen per hectare could be added in the rice. So after adding you will get the 25 to 30 kgs of nitrogen per hectare. See how much of the nitrogen is being added with the help of this BGA. Next, see here. So next part is mass production of BGA culture. Now you have the BGA with you, but it's limited one. So how the mass production, how the multiplication of this BGA culture being takes place. So here how they are doing this mass production. So they are taking the shallow trays which is of 2 meter into 1 meter of a galvanized sheet. So here you can see these trays. It sprayed 8 to 10 kgs of soil plus 200 gram of these SSPs, right? Then you have to add water, then sprinkle algal culture, and you have to expose the same to the sunlight. Next, thick algal mat forms at or after or within 15 days, right? So here you can see these are the green colored mat. It is being observed over here, and allow the water to evaporate means once the algal mat that formed on the surfaces, then you have to allow this same tree to evaporate it. Then after drying you have to collect these dry algal flakes, right? So whatever the dry algal flakes you are observing over here, that you have to collect and make into a powder and pack in polybags. And now you have to make the fine powder of these algal flakes, dry algal flakes. You have to make the powder, and then you have to pack in a polybags, and then you have to use same as a BGA culture. Now see what are the advantage of BGA biofertilizer. So here for agriculture they are going to fix the atmospheric nitrogen as I have explained you. The soil fertility is improved again. Then wasteland reclamation. Again we are going to convert this wasteland into a useful lands. Then again biocontrol is the main point, then crop productivity is going to increase or enhance. Then when we talk about the environment, then bioremediation nothing but what it is, the plant which going to remove the toxic substances from the soil or from the sorry water bodies. So again, CO2 sequestration means CO2 amount is again getting lowered with the help of this uh, blue green algae. Then CH4 oxidation, ag- augmentation. So here again, this CH4 oxidation is again done by this cyanobacteria, because again we have seen that this nitrogen that is going to convert into NO2, NO3, then further it's going to convert into a CH4 ions, right? Then it's biofuel or biodiesel uh, production where this blue green algae helps. Then food supplement. Again, yes, spirulina is the best example of algae where we are using this spirulina for the supply of uh, proteins, right? Single cell protein. Then all these advantages of these blue green algae when we compared or in case of agriculture and in case of environment. Now next see fungal biofertilizer. So fungal biofertilizer, the best example is VAM, that is vesicular arbuscular mycorrhiza. Now where this VAM resides, right? So here see myco and rhiza. So myco means what? Fungus, right? And rhiza means root. So the fungi which associated with the root, it is called as what? Mycorrhiza. The fungi which are associated with the root, they are called as mycorrhiza. And it is taken from the Greek language, that is fungus root. So this mycorrhiza is the term coined by whom? Frank scientist in 1885. So mycorrhiza is a mutualistic association between fungal mycelia and plant roots. So VAM, that is vesicular arbuscular mycorrhiza, is an endotrophic or which lives inside. Endo means again inside, which live inside these mycorrhiza formed by the aseptate Phycomycetes fungi, right? Aseptate means without septa, that is aseptate, right? And belonging to Phycomycetes fungi. So VAM helps in nutrient transfer mainly of phosphorus. See, VAM helps in transfer of which nutrient? Phosphorus, zinc and sulfur, right? Now, how you are going to produce this or how you are going to multiply the VAM, vesicular arbuscular mycorrhiza. So this, okay, let me tell you again. Here I have given you one image where you can see this VAM, they are particularly associated with the roots, right? It's roots fungi, right? VAM. So here this vesicle-like structure is present in case inner to the cells, right, inner to the cortical cells, and then this fungi is resides over here. These are the epidermal cells and these are the cortical cells, right? I will draw this is as a bigger cells so that you will get it. Means vesicle like structure is created by this these fungi, and it is they are resides inside to this, right? Some fungi are there, they are resides on the surface of the root. That kind of fungi they are called as ectomycorrhiza. Ecto means outside, but this kind of VAM that is resides inside to the cell, and hence we are uh, Let me change the color of my pen. Hence, we are called it as what? Endotrophic or endophytic. You can use any term, endophytic or endotrophic. So now see, for this production of this VAM, you have to take the sterile pots. So in a sterile pots, you have to add sand and soil. Its proportion is 1:1. Means suppose you have taken the 10 kgs of sand, then you have to add 10 kgs of soil. Okay, 1:1. Similar proportion of sand and soil. Then here you have to take soil where you have to isolate the VAM spores. Means you have to take such a soil where VAM spore should be present, right? So here that soil, it is 20:30. That proportion you have to take. Then here you have to sterilize with chloroamine T and 200 ppm of streptomycin for 15 minutes. Means again that spore should be sterilized with the help of this chloroamine T and again streptomycin for 15 minutes. Then you have to wash with the help of sterile water. Then worm spores, they are getting ready to multiply further, right? And the same content now you have to add over here. So here you have taken this sterile this soil which is in a pot, and then you have to add these worm spores. Then you have to mix well. Then grow host seed. You can use any seed. For example, take example of sorghum or maize, and keep in a glass houses. Means in poly houses you have to put these pots, right? Then young seedling will grow. So after a few weeks, remove the seedling gently. Then this seedling, check the worm spores microscopically. If present, chop the roots. Means by observing uh, at a glance or in a first look, you can't observe the worm spores, because worm spores, they are present inside to the cell, right? And hence after checking it, after taking the TS, after observing under microscope, you are going to confirm whether worm spores are present or not, right? So once you confirm the yes, worm spores are present, then you have to chop the roots. Means you have to uproot the seedlings, and then you have to chop the roots. Now chopped roots add starter inoculum. Now put small amount of starter inoculum 1 inch below the soil layer in pots, and sow the host seed in its vicinity. See, means again first what we have taken the soil, we have added the spores. Then we have grown these again plants, right? Then we have chopped the roots, we have observed the worm spores, right? And further again we are taking this inoculum, and then we are again adding this inoculum in the same content, same this content of sterile soil, right? And then we have to again the sow the host seeds. Seeds are same, sorghum, maize, any kind of seed you can take. Then inoculated larger pots. Then you have to remove the seedling after 3 to 4 months, and you have to macerate the roots with soil. And now you have the inoculum in a bulk quantity, and you have to use in field as granular preparation. The pelleted seeds or pack in polythene bags. Now these roots, now you have to prepare its granular preparation. Means you have to again this chop it, you have to separate it, and then this you have to pack this in a polythene bags, and then you can supply, you can this sell this biofertilizer, VAM biofertilizer. Now see here in a brick lined, here you can observe this is the brick area. Let me change the color of my pen. Here you can see this is the bricks, right? This is the brick lined tank where this C4 plants, that is maize or wheat, it is been grown to produce the VAM, right? And here it is the cemented tank, you can see, where again the mass multiplication of VM is being done. Now third biofertilizer is PSB, that is phosphate solubilizing biofertilizer. So now see here, what is the chemical formula of this phosphorus is P4, right? So as I have explained you, in case of nitrogen, nitrogen is very stable or inert gas, and that is not directly absorbed by the plants, right? So similar in case of phosphorus, phosphorus is also very uh, uh, the element which is present in a insoluble form, and that has to be converted, right? So which form is taken by the plants? So orthophosphorus ion, right? So that ion, that is HPO4 and H2PO4, that these are the two forms. In my further slide I'm going to explain the same, but these two forms, they are readily or easily taken up by the plants, right? So see here, phosphate solubilizing microbes are group of beneficial microorganisms capable of hydrolyzing organic and inorganic insoluble phosphorus compounds to soluble phosphorus form that can easily be assimilated by plants, right? So here they are going to hydrolyze insoluble phosphorus. See here, insoluble phosphorus to soluble phosphorus, right? So which are the organism they are doing this job? So here there are some bacteria as well as there are some fungi. They are helping here. So bacteria like Azotobacter, Begerincia, Bacillus pseudomonas, right? And the some fungi like Aspergillus and Penicillium, they are secreting some organic acids. See how again phosphorus is being converted into its usable form, right? So these microorganisms, bacteria and fungi, they are secreting some organic acids. So which are again organic acid here? See here, formic, acetic, propionic, sorry, lactic, glycolic, fumaric and succinic. So these acids, organic acids, are secreted by these microorganisms, above mentioned microorganisms, and these, because of these organic acids, what happens? See here, so it lowers the pH of soil. This is the main mechanism how this phosphorus is getting available to the plants, right? So these acids lower the pH of soil, which in turn converts insoluble phosphates into soluble form and then made available to the crops, right? So this is the main mechanism done by these microorganisms, means they are converting insoluble phosphates into soluble form, right? So which crops again getting benefited by this PSB? So here see, maize, wheat, paddy, rice, gram, then soybean, cowpea, then potato, all this gets benefited by PSB. Now, so here earlier I have mentioned you phosphate mobilizing and phosphate solubilizing, right? These two uh, terms or the processes are different, right? So here phosphate mobilizing is nothing but what? The microorganism capable of transforming insoluble organic or inorganic phosphates into soluble orthophosphate, right? They are doing only job of transforming or transferring, right? Or converting, you can say, insoluble organic or inorganic phosphates into insoluble orthophosphate, right? Now here's a phosphate solubilizing. So here the beneficial bacteria capable of solubilizing inorganic phosphorus from insoluble compounds. Okay, so here insoluble compounds getting converted into soluble inorganic phosphorus, right? Here what is the main intention? Insoluble inorganic or organic phosphates into insoluble orthophosphates, right? So here they are only transforming these things, but here insoluble compounds they are getting converted into soluble inorganic phosphates. So which are those microorganisms? They are doing this job for phosphate mobilizing. Here you can see AM fungi, arbuscular mycorrhiza fungi. Example is glomus. Then ectomycorrhiza. Example is amanita. Then ericoid mycorrhiza. Example is Pezizillae ericae. Then orchid mycorrhiza. Example is Rhizoctonia. Then here you can see in case of solubilizing phosphates, the example is Azotobacter, Begerincia, Bacillus pseudomonas, and the fungi like Aspergillus and Penicillium. So these are the phosphate mobilizing and phosphate solubilizing microorganisms. Now, phosphate solubilization, how exactly, right? So as I explained you, the P4, that is the phosphorus, that should be converted into this orthophosphate ion, right? So orthophosphate ions means which again that should be converted into monobasic this form and dibasic form, right? Means phosphorus they are only taken up by these two forms, means either plant will absorb monobasic phosphorus or dibasic, right? So phosphorus should be converted into orthophosphate ions, monobasic ion and dibasic phosphate ion. So monobasic, the formula is what? HPO4 minus, right? Whereas dibasic H2PO4 minus. So HPO4 minus and H2PO4 minus, these are the two forms of phosphorus are absorbed by the plants, right? Now, phosphate solubilizing bacteria are considered as promising biofertilizer since they supply plant with P form sources otherwise poorly available by various mechanisms. So bacterial genera, as I explained you previously, so all these genera they are help in solubilizing this phosphorus. Then organic, this is the last fertilizer, organic fertilizers. So here I have mentioned you the difference between the manure and fertilizer, right? So here fertilizer, that is chemical fertilizer, and manure, right? Organic manures. So manure is nothing but what? It is a natural or an organic substance obtained by the decomposition of plant and animal waste. So this is done by microbes, earthworms and fungus. So see here manure, right? So it is the decomposition of plants and animal waste. Then manure is going to form and this job is done by again the various microbes, earthworms and fungus, right? Whereas in case of sea fertilizer, these are synthetic substances, right? Synthetic means prepared, man-made, and an inorganic compounds. Fertilizer are artificially prepared in industries using various chemicals, right? So here's in case of manure, second point, no nutrient specific. Manures are no nutrient specific, whereas fertilizers they are nutrient specific. Means for in market also we have the NPK, right? Suppose you want to add the nitrogen, you can take the NPK. You want to add potassium, then same, right? Means they are specific one. Fertilizers, chemical fertilizer, they are specific one. In case of these manure, you can see it supply the nutrient to the soil, but specific amount or type of nutrient is difficult to determine. Yes, because as here you can see first sentence what we have mentioned, no nutrient specific. So it's very difficult to us to determine the which nutrient is being added through manure, right? So here in case of chemical fertilizer, here they are nutrient specific and we can able to add specific amount also, right? So this is the benefit in case of fertilizer and it's not in case of manure. So again here see it's bulky and voluminous and hence difficult to store. So these manures are bulky, right? In case of fertilizers they are compact and it's uses very less space, means if you want to store it, it's take very less space, and therefore it's easy to store. Next point, in case of manure, it provides lot of organic matter to the soil, right? So it is slowly absorbed by the plant, and it improves the soil texture, right? And it's also improves the water holding capacity of the soil. So these are the plus points I can say in case of this manure. In case of fertilizer, here you can see it fertilizer do not provide any humus to the soil, right? It is quickly absorbed by the plants. Yes, this is very uh, main point you have to remember in case of fertilizer and manure. In case of fertilizer, they are quickly absorbed, right? Where in here what I have mentioned, it is slowly absorbed. See, this is the word what you have to remember, right? Then fertilizer have no such effect on soil texture and water holding capacity of the soil, means totally opposite character of this fertilizer. Then crop, next point, crop productivity is increased only to some certain extent, and manure are cheaper than fertilizers. And here you can see fertilizers are expensive, and the crop productivity increased many fold by its use. Means yes, by adding this fertilizer, yes, crop productivity is going to increase. Then last point is no side effect of manure which are absorbed. And here in case of chemical fertilizer, they are washed to the nearby water bodies, and hence we are having these soil and water pollutions. Then this main, again I have explained about this biofertilizer and organic manure, right? So again there are, these are again two, these are fertilizers, right? So bio means what? Living, living organism, that the synthesis that atmospheric plant nutrient in the soil or in the plant body. The biofertilizer may be in solid, liquid medium, and microorganisms are in huge number. Here see how much huge number I have mentioned over here, right? In case of organic manure, the manure is prepared from the same again animal and plant waste. After properly decomposing the raw material, it may contain all necessary plant nutrient in small quantities, right? So these are required in large quantities, and this may be uh, made the medium for biofertilizer. Now see here I have given the comparison chart of this biofertilizer, organic fertilizer and chemical fertilizer, right? So here clear cut, in case of biofertilizer you can see here directly the microorganisms, they are present, they are being used as a biofertilizer, bacteria, algae and fungi. In case of organic fertilizer, the animal manure, compost, vegetable matter, it is added, right? In case of chemical fertilizer, these synthetic chemicals they are being used. So this chart again is very helpful to you people to refer or to compare this biofertilizer, organic fertilizer and chemical fertilizers. So now these are the fifth advantages of biofertilizers, right? So it increases the crop yield by 20 to 30%. Then it replaces the chemical nitrogen and phosphorus by 25%. See how much percentage it has been replaced. Then stimulate the plant growth. It activate the soil biologically. It restore the natural soil fertility. It provide the protection against drought and some soil-borne diseases. Then it's cost effective, yes. Then supplement to fertilizer. Then next point advantages is reduce the cost towards the fertilizer use, especially regarding nitrogen and phosphorus, right? And it's the renewable source of nutrients. Then again you can see it sustain the soil health, supplement the chemical fertilizer. It replaces the 20 to 30% of the chemical fertilizers. It increases the grain yield by 10 to 40%. The next advantage is it decomposes plant residues and stabilize the C/S to N ratio of the soil. Yes, this is a very important point in case of these biofertilizers. Then obviously it is going to improve the texture, structure and water holding capacity of the soil. And as I have explained you, there is no adverse effect on plant growth and soil fertility. and it's going to stimulate the plant growth by secreting growth hormones. It secretes fungistatic and antibiotic like substances, solubilize and mobilize nutrients in case of phosphorus, and they are eco-friendly, non-pollutant and cost-effective methods. So these are the 5 advantages of this biofertilizer. So thank you very much for listening this last point of your chapter, that is nitrogen metabolism. So likewise I have covered all the 4 types of biofertilizer in detail. Thank you.